when your sister-run noodle company hits grocery shelves nationwide.
When I was a kid and I was always trying to hide my lunch, or I just didn't want people to come over when my mom was making something particularly aromatic. Fast forward to today where I get a chance to proudly put this in front of the country.
The types of aromatic dishes Vanessa Pham once tried to hide from the world are now on full display in vibrant packaging on the shelves of major retailers. The brand's colorful journey is also on full display across the internet, thanks to Pham's Now Tell the World attitude.
Every time I go into the grocery store, I always got to take the phone out and do the selfie video. It always feels surreal.
OMSOM is a sauce and noodle startup partnering with prominent Asian chefs to offer premium, authentic flavors. This isn't your usual microwavable instant noodles you might think of. A huge step Vanessa and her sister Kim say is part of their personal mission to shake up ethnic aisles at grocery stores and bring these dishes to the mainstream. But the recipe to get here, well, it wasn't a simple one. A global pandemic, Silcon Valley Bank's collapse, and the challenges any 24-year-old would face leading a brand new startup all stood in the way of her vision and mission of spreading her values and culture through the love of food.
Tell us what OMSOM means.
Yes.
I mean, that in itself just symbolizes so much of the mission.
OMSOM is actually based on a Vietnamese word, OMSOM. And in Vietnamese, it means rowdy, rambunctious, riotous. It's actually a negative term. It's what our parents would use when they were trying to scold us. And Kim and I were really inspired by that energy. What if we kind of turn that on its head and celebrate that aspect of who we are? And OMSOM is all about being proud and loud, especially when the stereotype of Asian Americans in America is kind of submissive or docile. OMSOM is our true kind of energy and ethos and spirit.
While hiking in Bolivia in 2018 with her more free-spirited sister, the once risk-averse Pham decided to lean into what she felt was her true ethos and leave her steady consulting career behind.
So Kim and I are very different. She's extremely creative and I'm, analytical, kind of strategic, background in management consulting. I finally realized that if I actually wanted to have my voice be heard as a Vietnamese American woman, and become a thought leader in business, I would have to take a real swing. And meanwhile, my sister was flying around the world at conferences speaking. I just admired the platform that she created for herself. I wanted to do something that spoke to my soul and my values. And what better person to do that with than your sister? We instantly circled around the mission and the industry. Mm-hmm. And the mission is to educate on multitudes within Asian America. Honor and celebrate Asian cuisines and flavors, and the industry just had to be food because for us it was a love language. It was how we first really learned to engage with our culture as Vietnamese Americans and daughters of refugees, especially in a time in our lives when we were kids and we had to minimize our identity just to fit in. Food was a way where we could really maintain that, and it's become the jumping off point to this whole journey of building OMSOM.
You grew up with Vietnamese parents who were refugees. And then at what point did you say, all right, I'm going to tell my parents because this is something I'm sure they're incredibly proud of?
Yes. Well, we started telling them more and more. And then as soon as we had physical product, that's when I felt okay, now they can. So when we started getting samples, right, then they could taste it.
Are they your biggest critics?
Oh my gosh. Well, they love our products. The Mama and Papa Pham have approved. But that is the biggest, stamp of approval.
Yeah.
And, it's a very important step for us to make sure that they are proud of the flavors and the products. So we always bring it to them. And we've even posted on social media some of their reaction videos, and our community loves that.
With nothing more than what the two sisters had in the bank, they set out on their mission to create something unique. Embracing their roots was a catalyst to create OMSOM as they saw an opportunity to tap into the ethnic food market, which is set to reach $84.7 billion by 2034. And investors saw the opportunity too, as a number of them, including the co-founder of the luggage company Away, Jen Rubio, founder of the online wedding platform Zola, Shanlin Ma, And former Whole Foods executive turned VC founder Ellie Truesdell of New Fair Partners helped fund the Pham sisters' vision. For Pham, embracing her personality, well, that was how she learned to lead the brand.
Do you see yourself as more of a risk-forward leader now? Do you feel like you're tapping in to that mission?
I would say that the person who I was when we were first building OMSOM is very different than the person I am today. I think my Proud and Loud has actually been embracing who I am, which is very sensitive, very empathetic, lots of feelings, and learning to see that that's a huge strength as a leader if I don't make myself wrong for that or suppress that.
I feel like it's so hard to see a diverse woman in the food industry really make moves. As a leader, how do you make yourself stand out?
I would say OMSOM and Kim and myself and our team, we have a lot of perspectives. And while, I am sensitive and empathetic, I also always want to lead with my values and use my platform to share messages that, I want the world to hear. And so at OMSOM, we've always been very intentional about storytelling, educating folks, talking about Asian American issues or, BIPOC issues more broadly, and using our platform to make sure that folks are, if they're engaged in our community, they're learning, they're talking, there's dialogue that we can contribute to. And we see that as one of the core aspects of building OMSOM. It's not just a transactional food brand. We would never, want that to be what OMSOM is.
You also founded the company at such a young age. I think you were, 24?
I was 24,
24,
a baby, yeah.
How did you push through that noise and say, I may be young, but I'm making a difference?
Yeah. I would say the loudest noise was actually my own self-doubt at the time. And so much of this journey has been actually working with my kind of inner narratives and dialogue. And now I think I'm kind of my own hype woman. So
A hype woman with a core team who have helped her create not just food products, but an environment fueled by the brand's identity and Pham's own energetic outlook, something she has embedded in the culture.
Everybody here is incredibly talented, incredibly driven, and I think enlivened by the mission of OMSOM. And I absolutely lean on the team. I think, a strong leader must and should trust and empower those that work with them. I learn from the team every single day.
Pham's journey in starting OMSOM has definitely been a learning experience. As they sought out the right manufacturing partner, which they found in Chicago, back in Brooklyn, another huge lesson came their way: how to launch a specialty food business in the middle of a global pandemic.
When we started out building OMSOM, we were just wide-eyed. We didn't know what could come. And before we even launched, the first big challenge came. Do we launch in the midst of this pandemic at the start of it, or do we pause and wait it out? And what we realized is that folks during this time are going to be at home. They're going to be wanting to feel a sense of connection and home. And we felt like that's what OMSOM's all about. And I think we did make the right decision, despite some folks warning us that it could be a difficult time.
Who were those folks? Those investors, those people who backed you? How did you push over that?
One of my philosophies as a leader is, you've got this whole kind of network of folks, whether they're investors or, other folks. And I believe it's so important to, take in their input, their advice, and their experience like a sponge. But at the end of the day, coming together with, your team, centering your values and finding the best path forward for the company is really, that power is yours. We decided this was the time that we wanted to bring this company to the world.
Just 3 years after launching during COVID, Pham faced another major obstacle.
Regulators shut down Silcon Valley Bank. The FDIC has taken control of the bank deposits. So what's the fallout, the ripple effects?
Leaving the startup without access to their capital right before the brand was scheduled to launch their second product line, saucy noodles.
Nothing can really prepare you for that type of, uncertainty. I had heard rumblings around the industry. I was actually at a conference at the time about people kind of scrambling to pull their money out of Silcon Valley Bank. I immediately had to figure out what our options were. And at the same time, Kim and I started working together on how we wanted to communicate what was going on to our community. So we wanted to center our values around transparency, and around bringing them in.
Pham and her sister were transparent with their community in a way that you might expect from the young founders on social media.
We did not know what would happen in the coming days. And so we put our heads together that Saturday morning and wrote something from the heart. Running a proud and loud business doesn't always mean being celebratory. So let's talk about how SVB's collapse poses a major existential threat to many small businesses, including OMSOM. I think while we were still very scared and nervous, we felt deeply heartened by the people that showed up for us, bought from OMSOM.com, and shared it with their communities.
What are the top lessons that you think that moment taught you as a leader?
I feel that almost every hard moment, including that one, has given me the utmost confidence in the approach of always recentering in your values in difficult times, because there's sometimes you're dealing with new situations. There's so much out of your control, but if you can stand by your actions and you're navigating these situations with what matters most to you and your ethics and your values, then you can really, I think, be proud of how you showed up even in the face of great difficulty. And so in that moment, that's really what, Kim and I came back to.
Talk about what values you hold closest to you as a leader.
One of the values that I've really centered in my journey as a leader is being heart forward, which is something that I don't think was necessarily historically celebrated in leadership. It was about being, decisive, being kind of just like leading with certainty and confidence, sometimes at the expense of your humanity. And I feel like at the early stages of my journey, I tried that on, and I was always making mistakes when I was in that, headspace of being something that I wasn't. And so the last couple of years, I've started to accept more of who I am in my leadership. If I'm, working on something in my own journey, I'm open to sharing that. And I hope that kind of invites people to feel confident and accepted in who they are at OMSOM too.
When your team thinks of you as a leader, what do you hope is the message that you're getting across?
I really hope that everybody at OMSOM feels valued for who they are and what they bring to the table, and that they feel they have room to learn, to sometimes make mistakes. It's about celebrating your truth and exactly what makes you you. I want OMSOM to be the type of place where people are learning and expanding, but also feeling great pride in their kind of natural strengths.
Pham and her team are determined to fill a white space. Think Kava and how it's setting out to fill the white space for fast casual Mediterranean food, or what Chipotle has done for fast casual Mexican cuisine. And now OMSOM aims to fill the void for premium, authentic Asian flavors in the packaged food market. That market is expected to grow around 50% globally by 2030. And while OMSOM doesn't disclose its finances publicly, the suggested retail price for its saucy noodles and its cooking sauces range from nearly $4 to $5. Since launch, the brand has sold 4 million products and expanded its presence to over 2,000 stores without losing sight of its roots. Pham isn't satisfied yet, though. Far from it. She wants, in her own words, proud and loud Asian flavors to be mainstream.
I want to see OMSOM become a cultural force, a household name that continues to honor Asian American communities and flavors and culture every single day. I want us to be in homes across the country, but still hold that ethos and that heart that we do today.
An ethos and heart that Pham and her sister inherited from their parents, who, as refugees, weren't able to take the same kinds of risks.
Your parents must be so proud of you. What do you think they think about all that you have done?
They tell us all the time, which I really appreciate. They tell us that we are honoring our family history by the work that we do, and because they're refugees and they've, built the life we have today, it is my, biggest life stream to honor them and do right by them.
If there's one moment that really felt like, wow, I made it, we did it, what would that moment be?
It's when we've shown the people who helped to get us here what we've done. And so it's really my grandparents. We were featured in a spread in El Vietnam, and it's written in Vietnamese. So I cannot wait to bring it to them because they can read it and really understand that. And that'll be the moment, I think, when it really hits me, what we've accomplished.